could you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood, a neighborly day for a beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I have always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood with you. So let's make the most of this beauty.
And we're off. And up next is a ladder match. Another a third match in the third round in the Elite Eight, and it's between Mr. Rogers and Sheamus. Sheamus has the youth, and he's got the strength to, overpower Rogers. But Mr. Rogers, however, has the experience, and he'll have to try to outmaneuver Sheamus if he hopes to win. And he can't try to beat Sheamus up with brute strength himself. That's not going to be to his benefit. And another spine buster right to Mr. Rogers. And a backbreaker right to Mr. Rogers. So yeah, Mr. Rogers has got to try to wrestle with Sheamus. Inverted suplex onto Sheamus. So for Mr. Rogers, it's about trying to get that ladder and trying to climb up quickly. An electric chair drop right to Mr. Rogers. And Sheamus picks him up. And now Sheamus looks to go after that ladder, but Mr. Rogers is not going to let him. And a knee breaker right to Mr. Rogers, and of course Mr. Rogers being as old as he is, yeah, his knees are not exactly his knees are not what they used to be. I mean, he's not a spring chicken anymore. A choke right to Sheamus, and now both men are back in the ring. Once again, the match was determined by random, as it is a ladder match. It's kind of even, being that Sheamus is young, but he's big, and Mr. Rogers is small, nimble, but is old. So something's got to give, just like in the first quarterfinal match. Yeah. I apologize for stuttering there, but it can't be helped. Another spine buster. That's the third one, if not the second one. I lost count. And now Sheamus finally goes on the outside and puts that ladder into the ring. And Mr. Rogers, this is a prelude. Ooh, and that serious knee breaker. That modified knee breaker. Yeah, that usually is a bad sign. That usually signals the beginning of the end for most of Mr. Rogers' opponents over the years. And that's what helped him get that figure 4 lock, which is his finishing maneuver. Oh! An electric chair drop right onto that ladder, onto Mr. Rogers, and yet Mr. Rogers is not going to show the pain that he's feeling. I mean, Mr. Rogers has felt so much pain throughout his career. I mean, he's practically used to it right now. Sorry about that. I'm just getting some tissue, but... Alright. Mr. Rogers sets up that ladder, but a little too far away from that Attitude Championship that Sheamus possesses. Of course, if Mr. Rogers wins, it would affect him, in his case, negatively, as it would turn him into a bad guy. Another inverted suplex, only this time from Sheamus. Deadlock. And Sheamus goes on to the outside. I don't know what his plan is, but... I don't know what Sheamus is doing, but Mr. Rogers is going to follow him. Thrown onto the apron. And, uh-oh. pump handle fall away slam onto that concrete right to Mr. Rogers. But of course Mr. Rogers is... Uh-oh, wait a minute! Neighborhood slam! Neighborhood slam! That same spine buster that Sheamus was using is actually Mr. Rogers' move. And right now Mr. Rogers going for that $1 million dream onto Sheamus. Throws him onto the apron, and another $1 million dream. Well, I'll tell you one thing, Mr. Rogers is doing the right thing. I mean, sure, he's not trying to match pound for pound. He's not trying to use brute strength. He's just trying to use that boxing mentality. Yeah, that boxing mentality, which is to hit them, but not let them hit you. A scoop slam with Mr. Rogers' arm tucked underneath. And a whip into the corner. And Sheamus, I think he's just trying to catch his breath, because I don't know why he was just standing there for whatever reason. An elbow smash onto Sheamus. A forearm right to Mr. Rogers. And another chop block, which, again, to Mr. Rogers' strategy, try to disable the legs of Sheamus. If he can do that, Sheamus is a sitting duck. Though I wouldn't want to call him that, Sheamus. A belly-to-belly suplex onto Mr. Rogers. And Mr. Rogers... a second inverted suplex. And now Mr. Rogers has that ladder and is going to set it up. And now Mr. Rogers climbs it up, but couldn't quite get to the belt. And now both men are fighting on top of the ladder. Something's got to give here. A rake in the eyes, and wait a minute. A back body drop onto Mr. Rogers. And now Sheamus has that title, but Mr. Rogers pulls down Sheamus. So the match continues. An STO right to Sheamus, but also went that ladder as well. And Mr. Rogers sets it up again. And now Sheamus climbs up the ladder, and so does Mr. Rogers. Both men are on the top. Oh, no, no, don't do this. Don't do... Oh my god! A suplex from off the top of that ladder onto the canvas right to Sheamus. I'll tell you one thing, Mr. Rogers is not fooling around. I wasn't expecting him to fool around, but I mean, Mr. Rogers, when he wants to win, he'll do everything he has to win. Sets up the ladder once again, and now both men are going back up. Oh, don't tell me. He's going to do it again? And another suplex from off the top of the ladder onto Sheamus. And now Mr. Rogers with Sheamus down. I cannot believe this. How is it that Sheamus is still fighting? How is he still standing after falling off the ladder? And now Mr. Rogers falls off the ladder too. But how did he fall off the ladder off of a suplex onto the canvas? And how is he still standing up, folks? I don't know why. I don't know how. It's just... it's incomprehensible. And an inverted suplex onto Mr. Rogers. It's 2-2 on inverted suplexes, but hey, who's counting? Some back elbows right to Sheamus. And right now Sheamus is feeling the pain. Now right to the legs again. A snapmare. Ooh, and a kick right to the head. I'll tell you one thing, Mr. Rogers is hitting Sheamus more than Sheamus is hitting Mr. Rogers, kind of like a boxer, like I said before. A whip into the corner goes Sheamus. And now he sets him up in a tree of woe. A kick to the sternum. Oh, but he missed though. And a diving clothesline from off the top rope by Sheamus. And right now Sheamus is trying to get his second win, but another STO right to Sheamus. And Mr. Rogers continues to work on the legs as part of his overall strategy to try to take out the legs of Sheamus. Although Sheamus sidestepped him. Uh-oh. Pile driver right to Sheamus. And that's, again, another, like, that usually signals the beginning of the end for most of his opponents when he uses that figure 4 lock, but he's going to use the ladder once again. And now Sheamus goes up to the, Sheamus is climbing up to the top, as is Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers is a little bit better for wear. Don't tell me. Wow, a third suplex from off the top of the ladder. I mean, really, how much more does it take to keep Sheamus down, and he's still getting up? I mean, what more can you do to a man than that? A clothesline, 2 clotheslines, and then a modified facebuster right to Sheamus. And Sheamus is pretty much down for the count. Mr. Rogers gets up to the top of the ladder. And he does it.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood, a neighborly day for a beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I have always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood with you. So let's make the most of this beautiful day. Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Won't you please? Won't you please? Please won't you be my neighbor? Hi, television neighbor. I'm glad we're together again.